Hey guys, we're back
Oh,
from
we're
the
alive.
abyss. We've been gone
Yeah,
for a while, but
yeah.
we're back.
Sorry, guys. We covered November very well.
Yeah,
We did like one and two, which had to cover like our November TBR, and like now we're
I
here at
think
the
we
end of
only,
November to cover one.
I think we've only done one in November so far, and there's a couple times where I recorded things intending to make a short, and I'm just like, no.
Yeah, I don't know. After my surgery, when I could sit at my desk and I got back to work, like I dove off the deep end, and I am just like in it. I'm like writing and there's tons of books I'm editing, and then we got audiobooks. I finished up Immortals audiobook, so that was a couple like last week. So I'm still waiting on the approval period, and I'm working on Survivor right now, the audiobook for that one, which I'm officially proofreading that one or proof listening. So it's just been crazy. Like I have not finished reading a single book in November, which is bad for my reading goal. Because like my reading goal, it counts every short story in Assassin's Blade as a separate short story because I wanted to do reviews on each individual short story and they were published separately. But in my head, I count that as one novel. And so in my head, I need two books for November and two for December in order to keep up with my goal. And so it's like I'm in this weird, like, oh my gosh, I have to cram and finish Brimstone in 3 days. And I don't think that's happening because I have 300 and some odd pages. I got like
Yeah.
10 hours left. So,
I mean,
and the Vader
honestly,
novel.
if you just take out um like the one that counts for all of them together in one, I don't see what the issue would be because they're all individual stories. So you're just counting the four individually, and you just get rid of that one, and then you're fine. So I
Yeah,
mean,
I may have to.
realistically, you could work it around to where it would feel okay in
Yeah,
your head. But I see
yeah.
what
I
you're
mean,
saying.
so
I get
I
like
think Fable does too. So
I get that way with rereads sometimes. Like I've
yeah,
reread
we're
Fourth Wing so many
so
times that I'm just like, does this really count though? And
yeah.
I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna be technical about it. I'm not gonna be
I like that. I like
picky
that.
about it. I'm just gonna count it.
Talking to you would help me feel better because I've been like the last couple. I'm like I gotta read. I want to play Dreamlight Valley when I'm like winding down because I can just veg out. Disney Dreamlight Valley for those of you who don't know. And I'm like, no, you got to read Brimstone. You got to read Brimstone. You can't play Dreamlight Valley. You got to read Brimstone. And I
Yeah,
was like,
I've been
it
cramming
was
Planet
becoming.
Crafter a lot. I'm trying to
Oh, that's
finish terraforming. I'm trying to finish terraforming the second planet. It's the first of the two DLCs that they've released. It's the planet that goes along with that, because they released a new DLC with a new planet, and I'm just like, I want to start this now. And I've gotten to the point where I'm high enough that I've explored everything on the planet, and it's more of like making things that will increase like the animals, like there's different levels that your terraformation stage percentage kind of uses. And so there's oxygen, heat, pressure. Those are the original ones. And then you have your biomass, which is like animals, insects, and something else. And so it's like I'm having to keep them all steadily climbing in order to progress through the stages. So you have to add like multipliers and build different animals and different things. And I'm to the point where I'm making different animal genetics at the moment. And so I'm just like, let's add this in and this in and this in and see what pops out.
That's funny. Meanwhile, I'm just like vegging out playing this like kids game. I mean, it's not necessarily just for kids, but
No.
like because adults play it
I've
too.
seen more
But like
adults playing it than kids, to be honest.
fun. It really like you get to just be a kid. Like you get to go on adventures with all the Disney characters and try to level things up. And like we just got last night the new Wish Blossom Ranch, and so I it adds horses and like horseback riding. So I have gone back to my horse girl era. Like when I was growing up, I was
Yeah.
had a horse section. Like I was like a
Oh,
horse
yeah.
girl. I have been that, and I'm like, would it be weird if I played every video game just for the horse aspect? Like I want to go on Skyrim
Yeah,
just
you're
to
good.
play the horse, see how that
Honestly,
is.
like if you get the
And
anniversary
then
edition for Skyrim, there's part of the content that they add in are these wild horses that you can tame, and then you take them to
yes,
the stables and tame them, and it's like,
I've never played them all, but see, this is where I'm like, I want to just play video games for the horse content now.
gotta catch
Like,
them all. I feel like this is the Pokemon moment. Gotta catch them all.
yeah, but so
Just
I
the
haven't actually finished reading a book, but um So you've probably finished like a gazillion books
Um,
all of November.
I
I know
forgot to
you're out.
grab. I forget when I finished. Well, this is where
This
Goodreads.
were good for December and
Yeah.
Monday. So I'm
Okay.
like, this
I
is good
would
for
I
December
would
and
use Fable for everything, but Fable doesn't have a desktop app, a
yeah.
desktop
So it
website,
just
so I
like
can't use Fable, which is irritating because I would completely switch over to Fable if they had a desktop one, but they don't.
yeah, I can't access it because I'm filming on my
Annoyingly
phone.
enough.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Let's see. I I forget if I finished Silver Elite in November or not. Did we talk about Silver Elite in our last check-in? Yeah, we did. Okay.
Last second you did, but you wanted me to read it, and I started reading it, and
Yeah.
it's
It's yeah, I forgot about that one. That one, I'll honestly, several of my book, ever since I read Alchemized, I haven't been giving books 5 stars, and it's really weird. I'm just like, but honestly, from how this is reading so far, I imagine this is like the complexity of the writing and the Revenge of the Sith book. I can easily see it being a 5 star. But the only other one I read, other than Silver Elite, was at the very beginning. So a majority of, I think, November, from the 10th through the 21st, I read The Calf King. So that was...
I think that's I didn't get to hear your opinion over, because did you finish it?
Yeah. On the
Okay,
21st,
cool.
I think. So it was this one.
Yeah, that one, and I thought about reading it sometime.
Yeah. I honestly... It's going to take me a minute. Oh, yeah, I really liked it until the twist that they did at the very end. Okay, not really, but it bumped it from a 5 to a 4. It has a religious aspect to it, and I felt like it kind of went to, had like a more feministy twist to it. It wasn't major, it wasn't big, but I'm just like, I would have written the end of this slightly different. You know,
yeah.
I would have done this a little different, but, you know, and it was just like, it felt like a, let's slip this in here. Because it had something to do with the main female character. And I'm like, do we really have to do that? You know, and I'm like, I'm not giving this a 5 star. I would have if the ending would have been different, because there was a lot of plot twists I didn't see coming in this, and it was really good, and I liked it, and it was just kind of like okay, that's fine.
Yeah,
I just felt like it was like an easy fix to a, you know, not really an easy fix, but it felt like it required less planning and less writing to do. It was the kind of ending that required less writing and less thought process. And I was like, okay. But this one, you've read this one, right? The Revenge of the Sith novel. Yeah. You've read this one?
Yeah.
So I've just got to the point where, okay, one, I love how the narrator tone that the author does at certain points, like, that was so fascinating. Like the Age of Heroes, like the introduction where he does a lot of like the narrator based thing, like the skies of Coruscant blaze with war, the artificial daylight spread over the capital. It was like, there was parts where he was talking about people, a strike at the heart of the very Republic, an invasion of Coruscant itself. How could this happen? It's a nightmare, and no one can wake up. Live via hell and it was like, I just love it.
All-knowing narrator.
Yes.
Yeah, he jumps out. Sometimes he jumps in specifically, and he does scene cuts so you can tell.
Yes,
and it's like it's really wordy. So some people may have an issue with how wordy it is, but for me, I really love it because it's very personal.
Yeah, like, it was like, and honestly, like, when it has his like annotations at the bottom too, and I really enjoyed reading those. But there's one part where it's like, at times where it's like it's switching from Obi-Wan's POV to Anakin's, and he does these when he's switching POVs. He does this little kind of like you were saying, like a narrator clip. And I really like that shift. I feel like it allows the transitions to go like really well. But there is one part. It's like sometimes the annotations at the bottom are like really like long, like so not long, but it's kind of an interesting like snippets.
What part are you at? If there's something I want to talk about, but make sure you're far enough.
Okay, I'm at the beginning of chapter 3, so this is the part where it kind of officially confirms that Darth Sidious was Chancellor Palpatine, and it's like him and Dooku are getting ready to, like, Anakin and Obi-Wan are getting ready to walk in.
Cool. So I won't. Okay. There's a plot thread that we need to talk about when you get there. Okay. So I'm excited.
Okay. I wanted to, like, there's a lot of these little narrator bits that he puts in here, but this one I thought was interesting, and I thought it was kind of cool that he did this within the book. It says, it was like a little tag off of the line that says, Darth Sidious, Dark Lord of the Sith, sat in the general's chair, shackled to it as at the wrist and ankle. And it was like a little tag note to go to the annotation at the bottom. And he's like, this novelization was published April 2nd, 2005, a bit more than a month before the film was released in May 19th. Because this book was published along with several others before the film's release, this little passage here may arguably be the first time in prequel media that Chancellor Palpatine is openly revealed and confirmed to be Darth Sidious. Unless you make the mistake of reading a different retelling first, I can't be held responsible for any such disastrous errors in judgment on your part. And I'm just like, he has these little quirky, like, funny comments, and I love it. But it's like, just the thought that the book was released before the movie, and it reveals a big plot twist that people were speculating about anyway, and I'm just like, I like that.
That's cool.
I like that.
That's awesome.
And there's some other ones that were just funny comments. Oh yeah, he was like, my first order of business was to plant the idea of Anakin Skywalker being driven to destruction by his own fear, which can be tricky with a galactic superhero whose courage is legendary. My opening move was to illustrate as specifically as I could as exactly what frightens him the most. And it was like, just his thoughts behind why he wrote things the way he did, or like he took inspiration, like part of the inspiration for Dooku he got was like during his Padawan years was from a novel called Yoda the Dark Resenvous, Rendezvous, and he has like, there's times where he's like, hey, I got the inspiration for this particular character to write it like this from this book, and I'm like, cool. So it's gonna say, I need to read that one, and so it's like, got it, thanks. Take book recommendations.
One thing I liked, the Anakin thing, one thing that I liked about what he did in the prose was specifically he used this metaphor with this dragon. Like, mentally it felt like a dragon consuming Anakin, but it was a really good metaphor that fits fear, and it really does show fear was kind of like a catalyst that caused Anakin. So.
Well, and it's like getting inside Anakin's head. It's like through that entire like space battle mission, he's battling the thoughts of like he can't lose Palpatine, and it even goes into like in his thoughts, it goes into how there was things that he told Palpatine that he wouldn't even trust to tell Obi-Wan, and he called Obi-Wan like the closest thing he would ever have to like a father figure that he would say was his father figure, and it was like, and you could tell in his head just how desperate he is to get to Palpatine and to not like fail this time, because he compares Palpatine being captured to his mom, and it was like, I don't know, it's just interesting that I like getting in their head.
That's sure. What I loved about it too. Well, I have a book haul, but I can talk about that later. So, obviously, I think the last time we checked in, I was still reading Alchemize, and we were excited about Silver Elite, and you wanted my thoughts on Silver Elite. and I was kind of slowing down in Alchemized anyway because I hit a reading slump, which was just coincidental. And it was a lot darker in terms of like how graphically things are described. And it was just putting me in a very, looking back on it, it was like a bad headspace for me to be in. I don't know why. Um, so, which normally graphic stuff doesn't bother me, but it was just really dark. So, I did start Silver Elite because I actually intended to read this book and give you my thoughts on it. And then 2 days later, the Vader novel came out. So I made it to page 6. But I did put effort in, and I was trying my heart out to read Silver Elite for you. So far in the 6 pages that I read, which some of that is front matter, so it's not actually 6 pages of narration, but the main girl's attitude was irking me. And I've read like 12 or 20, however many Sarah J. Maas books I've read this year. So I think I just need a break from that kind of trope right now with the sassy females. Like, I just need a break because I've just read so much Sarah J. Maas. Nothing against the book or the character or anything. It gave me that sassy girl attitude that I'm just like, nope. So far in the beginning, but it was just the first 6 pages a little bit. And then, like I said, 2 days later, the Vader novel came out, Master of Evil, and I'm still in the process of reading it. Slower than I would like, but I'm also reading Brimstone at the same time. Um, so the prologue, I'll talk to you about this off camera, but it bears repeating for the sake of the podcast. So the prologue actually starts from Dooku's perspective, and this was supposed to be like after episode 3, so it threw me off in the timeline. But I was like, okay, we're gonna get some back history. And then Dooku's attitude was just not right. Like, I had my husband read it because I wanted to make sure it wasn't just me. And it was like, it came off as like fan fiction that whoever wrote it just didn't understand Dooku's character. And I'd be interested to get your thoughts on it because you've read, like, it was a script format, but you've still read the Dooku novel. And I'd be interested to get your thoughts on that.
Okay.
But it does kind of come back into play.
Just thoughts that come to mind. The Dooku one there, using like it's like the script format one. I think it's just called Dooku if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
But one thing I noted, he never acts. He always is like very formal, very like almost not royalty, but acts and like, you know, talks very formal like that. Makes me think almost like Slytherin vibes, like Harry Potter Slytherin vibes in his talking and in his tone. And like even in Revenge of the Sith novel, the one I'm reading currently, like Matthew Stover wrote him as like a was it a psychopath? I think in the notes at the bottom he said that he even wrote him as like a psychopath type character. And it's like, understand, like, because in the Revenge of the Sith novel, he was very much had plans to completely like deconstruct the Jedi and make it into almost, for me, what felt like an Old Republic concept of like a whole Sith army. And it's like thinking back to like Star Wars The Old Republic Online, where they have like, you can play like as a Sith and go to like Acolyte and go into like the academy, and you know, and it's like that's almost what he was wanting. And he had like 2 types of people who were threats and people who like he uses a different word, but for me in my head it made more sense like like they're either a tool or they're a threat, and once he's used up their usefulness, they become threats and he eliminates them. And so this whole concept of like eventually he's not going to have any threats because everyone is just a tool, or he's eliminated everything, or eventually there won't be 2 groups of people, it'll just be one, because he's eliminated all of the people that he's, you know, aren't useful. And it's like, based on what you described, like at least a little bit of what you told me,
like I actually found some of the lines that like threw me off.
Okay.
Like, Dooku thought the next step would be easy. He was, much to his annoyance, quite wrong. The shaman, the charlatan, was nothing compared to the Count. Dooku was a true master, one who knew the nature of the Force, who understood the power of the dark side. He was a Dark Lord of the Sith, Tyrannus by name, and he had no time for games. And then later on, where
the first chunk was okay-ish, but the whole game bit there at the end, that little snippet at the end, was just like, I don't know.
It just came off whiny. Like when you like, it's just
On the,
like
yeah.
pages and pages and pages comes off as whiny. Like there's another one where, um, yet this man, this pathetic hermit living in squalor in a cave, like cave is actually emphasized, was standing in his way. The so-called shaman was physically weak, and Dooku knew he could
I
break him in two without a thought.
it just sounds, honestly, he himself doesn't sound whiny, but the author's writing sounds very like
Yeah, it's
middle
like the writing
schoolish.
style for that.
It sounds
Yeah,
very middle
but here's the
school.
thing, it's weird. He changes his entire writing style every time he
Really.
changes to a different character. So like Vader, like Goth, Colonel Holland Goth is like one of the Royal Guard, Sidious's Royal Guard. So he's
Mm-hmm.
one of the main characters of the novel. He has a different writing style that just reads as like a really good Star Wars book to
Really.
me. So
Hmm.
I like Goth's perspective. And then we go to Anakin, well, Vader's perspective, and it's really purpley prose, really poetic, like
Hmm.
let me find something that's like one of the like a really good line.
Who
Okay, here we go.
who wrote it?
Who's making the Adam Christopher. But it's like okay. Sorry, I was trying to find where he bleeds the um I don't know, it's just really poetically written. I can't find any specific line that like really jumps out at me now. But oh, here we go. Um he's seeing visions as he's trying to bleed his lightsaber red for the first time. And the
Mm.
crystal fights cannot win. The falsehood of the Jedi, the lies of the light side, they're stripped away. All that is left is truth. He sees Mustafar, the lava fields, Obi-Wan, the caravan, the craven victor revealing his true self. Me, who died for nothing, the cowardly Jedi refusing to free her, refusing to interfere. He sees Padme. He sees Palpatine. He sees Padme. He sees Padme. He sees Padme. He always, always sees Padme.
Hmm. So, okay, I just
Like,
looked up to see how many, like, what Star Wars writing history he has, and it looks like the only he's contributed, it says that he's written a Star Wars novel, Shadow of the Sith, in 2012. And that's one of the one that has like Luke and Lando, like older Luke and Lando on the cover. It's one of like the one of the first novel, like one of the novels that came out after the sequel trilogy. Um,
oh,
and then he's written The Master of Evil, and it says he also contributed from a certain point of view anthology series. So as a Star Wars from a certain point of view in 2017, he contributed a story called End of Watch, and that anthology is the one that has Star Wars. It's called Star Wars from a certain point of view, and it's like teal colored, and it has C3PO and R2D2 like on the sand of like the sun of Tatooine, and it has like a bunch of authors written on each side. I've seen it before. I've thought about buying it in the past, but I just never have. It might be interesting
yeah.
to read, but he contributed a novel in there, and he wrote in a Star Wars Adventures comic series. So
So it sounds like he hasn't really got a lot of history of like like Star Wars novels like
yeah,
this.
let
Until
me
this
look and
one.
see what this Star Wars Adventures 2017. Um okay, so he is a writer that's kind of blossomed out of the sequel trilogy, so that would explain why he wrote Dooku so weird. So
It
all of
explains
the
the quality. I will like you can't compare this to Matthew Stover, like the one
yeah,
that
oh
you're reading
yeah,
now. Like this night and difference day in the writing and the
really.
understanding of the Star Wars universe.
Hmm.
Um, like if you were and I were reading them side by side, you can tell a difference. So it's like he definitely doesn't compare to Matthew Stover.
Yeah.
So but all the premise though is what's keeping me interested because the whole concept is that this is so early on. Sidious does not trust Vader, and
Yeah.
so he sends this guy Goth. His name is Goth,
Mhm.
the Royal Guard. He Vader's going on a mission, and so he's like, well, the Royal Guard is assigned to protect you, but in reality, he wants Goth to spy on Vader.
Yeah.
And in my that's not going to end well for Goth, but I really like his character
Mhm.
so far, and so I'm like, poor Goth, like I this is not going to end well for the dude, you know what I mean? Like, so I'm
Yeah.
kind of reading for that. and it feels like it's covering a lot of the times that the comics already did. So in my head, I'm like, I don't know if it's going to overlap because he's searching for a way to bring Padme back to life, is what Vader is doing.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, so
um,
he's written a couple of different ones from a certain point of view. He's written a few of those. End of Watch, The Witness, from The Empire Strikes Back, a certain point of view, and then Return of the Jedi, a certain point of view, The Steadfast Soldier. Master of Evil. He was said to write. He was supposed to write The Mandalorian, an original novel, but it was canceled. So yeah, it honestly it just seems like a lot of his Star Wars writing experience is post Disney buyout. Explains a lot, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah, it really does.
Honestly, would you say that it, from what you've read so far, would you say that it changes the Darth Vader lore significantly or at all?
I don't, that's the thing, is I can't tell how significant it is, but it comes off as like the interaction that Vader had with Sidious. It almost felt like Sidious was like cruel to Vader, which obviously Sidious is evil.
Sense. Yeah.
And I don't know how to feel about I don't know how to feel about their interaction, because it was like, well, Vader obviously wants the power, like, you promised me the power of the dark side to, stop death, and Sidious is like, I'm not going to just give you all my power at once, and you're demanding much, and you need to remember your place. And he actually like electrocutes Vader at one point.
Really?
And I just don't know whether that changes their dynamic or not.
What Star Wars book had the one I'm reading and a couple other Vader books all together? Do you have that one?
Yeah,
have you read all of those? All three of those?
I think the Dark Lord, The Rise of Darth Vader.
Okay.
Is the Darth Vader one, because I thought I started it at one point, but I never did. Like, I have a bookmark where I left off in it, apparently.
Because I would be curious to see. I would be curious to read those novels and then read that one and compare the interactions between the two. My next question: does it tell you how how far post episode 3 you are that this book takes place?
No, but it's close enough that they were having a ceremony where all the lightsabers were being burned from the temple.
So it's not very far out.
It's like a celebration or something. It doesn't actually say, because there's no dates or anything.
It doesn't show me the
hold on. The beginning. They always have a timeline in the beginning.
Hold on. That's right.
Where are we at here? I'm way too early. Okay, hold on. Oh, wait. Master of Evil takes place after Reign of the Empire, The Mask of Fear. What is that one? So I don't think this Dark Lord, The Rise of Darth Vader, this one, is canon anymore, because that's not listed on there.
Oh.
So this canonized, which...
Okay. Okay. Master of Evil takes place in the early days of the Galactic Empire, only weeks to a few months after the events of Episode 3. Supposedly.
Right. Okay, so the one novel that before this, The Mask of Fear, Reign of the Empire, it's set before the rebellion. It follows Mon Mothma, Bail Organa, and Saw Gerrera as the Empire's cruelty and fear rise.
Okay.
So in the line here, that's listed as before this novel.
Okay, Master of Evil. Summary.
I guess when you think about it, while you're looking up research, I can keep talking.
Yeah.
Part of me, I guess, like, I don't have an issue with it, because I was like, oh, that's sad and dramatic. But then when you think about the headcanon, Palpatine seems more deceptive than that. He was never openly evil.
Yeah.
And he was never openly like, I'm not going to show you this power, and here, I'm going to electrocute you because you don't know your place. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was never open about how was. He was always lying and deceiving and hiding behind that, I am your friend and we will find this out together and stuff. And I in my head, I feel like Palpatine carried that out throughout his reign, and that's why Vader wasn't really, he was still loyal to him until
Mm-hmm.
Luke kind of talked him out of loyalty,
Yeah.
because he was like, we'll find this out together. Like, we will find the path, that sort of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
And to open, I'm not going to tell you that power and you need to learn your place and here's an electrocution because you spoke out to me.
Okay.
Like, it just
To
comes off
be
vibe.
to be fair, Anakin was so hot-headed when he was at that age that it would not surprise me if he had to be like disciplinary early on
Mm-hmm.
to kind of
Yeah,
beat that rebellious nature out of him, because I could see Anakin realizing, "Hey, you screwed me over. My wife is dead. What other ties do I have to him? Like, what other ties does Vader have to him? Because Sidious is already, like, in his eyes, he's failed the one thing he said he was going to be able to do, was to say Padme. The only reason why he joined him in the first place was because he said he could save Padme. And what happens? Padme dies. And so as a result, I could see him. We know Anakin's rebellious already, and he was rebellious with the Jedi Order, he had years with them. And so it's like,
I can see that, and in a way, it's kind of because we've always imagined like what happened when the ball fell. Like, what happened when the other shoe fell, and Vader realized that Palpatine screwed him over. And so it's kind of interesting to get to see that kind of building moment. And so it will be. And like I said, I'm invested in Goff because I'm like, what? Vader knows. Like, there was one instance where he was looking at Vader through his red mask, and all of a sudden Vader turns his head to him, and he's like, "Oops, he sees me." Like, how? And I'm like, dude, he's using Goff doesn't know about the Force, but as you're reading, you're like, oh, Vader used the Force and was sensing that Goff was looking and watching him, and So, and also there's supposedly a dark vergence in the Force on this planet where he's been sent, and that's the same planet Dooku. Sidious had sent Dooku to try to excavate, so I'm curious to see what's there. And the interesting tidbit about that is, like, Dooku took it and then lied to Sidious about it, and then never told, like, we don't know what happened to what he did with what he took there. And so I'm like...
And that's where it's like...
things I want you to do.
Well, and honestly, at least in the Matthew Stover novel, Dooku had plans. Honestly, a lot of the plans that he had felt like they were completely outside of, like, beyond Sidious. Like, Dooku had plans to grow far greater than Sidious ever was. And it was like...
Okay, I was wondering, like, would he lie to Sidious like that? And I was wondering if that was within his character. So
like, let me see if I can find, like, a little snippet. It was like, let's see. I don't know. I'm trying to find, because he talked about how he wanted to make a Sith army, and he had grown very arrogant, and that's what in Matthew Stover's notes he said that Palpatine was using the arrogance, Dooku's arrogance against him, and blindsided him that way, and so
Yeah, because he never would have seen it come. That's how he didn't see that coming then, was because his own arrogance kind of blinded.
At one point he was like, in the notes, he said, "I had a lot of fun working out what Palpatine has convinced Dooku in the end game is going to be. Since you already know better, this is a nifty way to illustrate just how deep Palpatine's power of deception go, and to underline how Dooku's outrageously inflated opinion of himself is exactly what makes him a perfect pasty. It's the flip side of tragic dramatic irony. His impenetrability, smug faith in his innate superiority is shown here to sweeten what comes next." And so he had really, like, these whole, like, because it goes into, like, him having plans. Dooku would serve as the Empire of Man, and he was going to get rid of aliens and, like, crush a lot of the aliens, and it was going to be run by man, and he was going to make a Sith army, and he would be the perfect general for this Sith army, and, like, he had full intentions of going far beyond anything Sidious had, like, and I think that's where Sidious had picked up on that.
why he knew he needed to get rid of Dooku, basically.
Oh yeah.
So the fact that Dooku took that power, then he was going to use it against Sidious, so that make like for himself, basically, keep it from Sidious.
Yeah.
So that makes perfect sense with that. So the other thing, which this is going to tie into a controversy that you're going to bring up, but I started Brimstone, but I was into the Vader novel to keep it going. And the fun thing about this is that I'm listening to the audiobook with this, and I can't do that out loud. Like, say my sister and I are watching a show and there's commercials. I can read on commercials. So that's where I'm getting my like reading time for this in, with like moments where because I can only do this in the evening when everybody's in bed and I'm alone. When I'm not alone, I read this one. So that makes sense. So I love Kingfisher's POVs.
Good.
The controversy we'll talk about in a minute. So I've noticed a few of those things, so we can talk about that. This book starts off like really fast paced and there's a lot of action. There was 2 spicy moments that in my opinion were so inappropriately placed and unnecessary and just ruined the pacing.
I did see someone make a comment about chapter 7 or whatever, and it was being like a chapter 7, so I assume it was like a spicy bit, or like they were making memes of them listening. Okay, it was like they were making memes of them having like earbuds in while listening to this incredibly spicy scene in like the middle of a public place.
To be expected. Chapter 20 pissed me off. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I was mad because there's a lot of the chapters from like 15 leading up there was like so intense, and it was gearing towards something big. And so 19 and 20 was where I expected big thing to happen. Like when you read, you know what I'm talking about. And so 20 was supposed to be that thing, but that thing got resolved quickly, and then we had a convoluted way of adding spice, basically, which is kind of what we're expecting from Rebecca Yarros in the new novel, and how Violet and Xaden are going to interact with each other. You can kind of guess where I'm going with that. It's like, it's very convoluted, and I'm like, it made me mad. I was really mad at chapter 20, but the plot is really good. So some of like, because there's different, like Kingfisher and Sarris are in different places at certain times, no spoilers. I like sometimes Sarris's POVs are very slow because there's not a whole lot of plot going on, and so I literally speed it up to the 1.2 and match my reading speed compared to like Kingfisher's POVs. I'm slowing down so I can comprehend more. Sarris's sometimes I'm just trying to get through her chapters. Now there are other chapters where intense things happen on her side, and I was kind of intrigued because there's all kinds of new stuff happening. But and I'm not sure exactly where the plot is gonna go. I've got this much left to go.
Gotcha. Question. I know at the end of Quicksilver, she was like half vampire, half something else, and it was like this new and it was she was like in charge. Okay, is she writing her to be some like OP character, or does she still have limitations?
At the beginning, no, but the part that I'm at is kind of branching into Sarah J. Maas territory.
Oh, great. Of course.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but it's like, one of the scenes I was gonna, now the physical, there was one scene in particular that physical combat was really good because it was very realistic in terms of physically what the character can do, and also the training that she knows how to do. So I liked the physical combat. The magic in that scene was where things took a turn, where it's like, you know how Aelin had all this epic power that was so overwhelming without a high price to pay sometimes. That's what it's like. That was my first thought when I read this thing. Like, this is too much more with no consequences, because how are you supposed to fight against that? And with the good guys, you need bad guys who can counter the good guys, so that you have kind of a plot to go. And so for me, that was like, but then it changed to more physical combat, and the magic wasn't really a huge player in that. So I don't know. I hope it doesn't go into Sarah J. Maas territory as we gear toward the end. It kind of seems like she's going into her girl boss era, and for at least the part that I'm at, like the beginning was fine, because I was worried about that too in the beginning, but but it's still we're training for physical combat, so at least physical combat is good, I guess. But so I'll let you mention the controversies first, because you were the one who heard about it first. I just noticed what the controversy discussed.
So multiple people on social media have been making comments about, apparently there are multiple cases throughout the book where there are significant, like, major editing issues that pull readers out of the immersion of the story. And it's not just a one-time thing. It's like there's multiple spots where it pulls them out. And it's like, I can understand the irritation with the readers. Like, how does a company, a published novel, and indie authors that are irritated about this too, how does someone who is with a publishing company, has went through multiple editors, has a narration that also reads it that way, and completely missed, and you've already said like on your end that you have even caught editing errors that everything missed. So, like, it happens.
Audiobook will change,
like,
I promise you.
And that's
go
where
through it before you publish it.
And, like, part of me is like, and I mean, do, like, when you're with a big publishing company like that, do you even go through it? Like, do you even have the ability to read through your edits or go through and fix the edits yourself? Or they're like a team of people doing that? Like, does she even have the ability? Because that's where I'm like, she should have been catching these things.
You can. The question is she? Does she? Because when I was trad published, it worked the same way that I do with my editor. She would do the edits and I would get them back to her. Now, there was one publisher I did start to work with, and they were a Christian publishing company, and they made demands where it was like, you need to change this entire magic system, or we're not going to publish this book, because they felt like it's against the Bible, basically. And that's when I decided not to work with them. But something else fell out. I can't even remember what happened. But so certain times, like, they will make demands, but you still have the opportunity to go through that.
Gotcha.
But my question is, with her having a whole team, I'm not sure if she does, because it's kind of like one of the big ones that I found, and that the whole controversy was about, is Lorith, one of the warriors. It was at the training room, and it was a throwaway line about where he was. We didn't even need to know where he was, so it was unnecessary in the first place. And it mentions he was training Carrion. Carrion is with Kingfisher in a whole different realm, and that's the whole blurb. If you read the blurb, it's like Kingfisher and Carrion are going to Zilvarin on a trip together. That's the blurb. So it's the whole point of half the plot.
Yeah.
Is
the fact that he's not there.
So it's like, how do you miss something that big? Like, that threw me off.
Honestly, that shouldn't have even been written in there to begin with.
Yeah, it was like, we don't. In the moment, it was like she was somewhere else, and she was just like, Lorien is off doing this, or Lorith is off doing this. Well, we didn't even need to know where Lorith was in the first place, so it kind of was like a whole unnecessary thing. I don't know if her original intention was Carrion was there, and she changed it, and somehow that became the whole focus of the plot. But to me, that seems really weird, because that's the plot.
Yeah.
So and then.
Okay, so.
I've had several other ones too.
One thing I do have to say, though, is I was skimming through the comments earlier on, and I went back to the video, and there's a lot more comments in there now. But earlier on, there's a girl by CassieMarie.editing on Instagram. I have no idea who she is, but I loved her comment on this. She's like, this might be unpopular opinion, but readers cannot demand books faster and faster and go feral over them, and then in the same breath get mad at the mistakes, which do happen, maybe not to this caliber, but regardless, they do happen. You can't have your cake and eat it too. And I'm like, honestly, that's kind of where I'm at. Like, if readers want instant pot books that happen in a span of months, then they're going to have to deal with the editing mistakes. If you're not willing to wait at least 3 years for a book to be written and published in, you know what I'm saying? Like, it takes, how long would you say it takes you would say, like, if you were to write a book, get it edited, and get it published with the narrations and everything, like, if you were to do that one after the other, how many years would you say it would take you?
2 or 3 at least.
At least.
It took me a year to edit Survivor.
Yeah.
That's not including the rewrites and the original version that I wrote, which took me months. And then I'm still trying to get the audiobook out, and it's way past its, like, the time that it came out. Like, the publishers, trad publishers, can get the audiobook out the same release date. But And which to me also is another thing. It's like when you listen to audiobook, you can hear like audiobooks in general, listening to anything read out loud will catch mistakes because your brain, even editors, when you're focused on a book, it will skip over things. I found typos in Immortal, and I had 2 professional editors go through it plus me going, they had both did 2 rounds and I went through their 2 rounds. So that's like 4 rounds for me. And we somehow all missed it. It's just your brain skips over things and it fills in the gaps. That happens. So reading it out loud is the best way to catch things, which is why when you're doing the audiobook, you're always going to catch it. But here's the thing, their audiobooks come out before it's published. Like in my case, Immortal's already published, so I'm not going to worry about the 3 typos that I found in the whole book.
Yeah.
But you had a chance to fix it before the release, so there was a chance to fix it because the audiobook came out on release day. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know how soon you have to get it to the publisher.
Yeah.
But I definitely agree with the reader though. With the person who commented is that the reader's demanding things so fast. Like that's not enough time to do a book right. It just is not. It's not.
Yeah. And so, on top of the fact that they're editing all of these things and publishing all these things, she's probably writing at least 1 or 2 other books on top of that to meet the expectations of the publisher and the contract that she's like obligated to complete, contractually obligated to finish, which probably was like a trilogy series, like a 3-book series written about this kind of thing. And it's like, I imagine they're pressuring her, being like, hey, you're supposed to have 3 books out by such and such date. You know, I'm sure there's that going on in the background, and it's like,
that's why I'm an indie author. I can't handle the do this by this time.
Yeah.
I make my own deadlines. But this goes into something else. I read a comment from somebody on Book Threads that talked about Callie Hart, and she says, I'm kind of impressed with Callie Hart's audacity. Everyone makes fun of the cover of Quicksilver. Fine, Brimstone is just a title in my name, nothing else, is her response. And then everyone loves Kingfisher but hates his name. Oh, actually, in Phalion, there's true names, and that was just a silly nickname. His name is actually spoiler alerts, which I haven't read that part yet, so redacted that. And then Real Boss Energy. And it's like her books, she can make up the rules. I love it. And then with this editing thing, so it's like every time it feels like people just pick on her and her books, and then she caves and does what they want. Like the cover of Quicksilver, which we covered on this channel too and talked about before, was one major example of how she changed the whole covers and because of reader pressure. And this whole editing thing feels like that kind of, where it's like, I get that it may have pulled you out of the story for a page, but why is it a big deal when you have 600 other pages that are like, and you have this plot? Like for me, maybe it's because I'm an author, so I'm more forgiving of that kind of stuff. Like it may dock a star if it's something too, like if it's riddled with like, you don't use any punctuation, or your capital letters are off, or you misspell every word or every other word. Like I would complain if it was badly written where you can't read the book. But her syntax, which is like grammar, punctuation, like that kind of grammar has all been correct.
Yeah.
There's one instance where I found she missed the word a when it's referring to like a noun, and it just said something, whatever the word was, and it didn't make, it was like broken English. It didn't make sense. But again, and so I'm like, why is it a big deal unless it's literally like the one we talked about with that indie author where it was like riddled with so much editing mistakes that she had to do a full recall. I guess I'm just like getting to where I don't understand why it outrages people so much when it's like, you spend money on the book, yes, I get you can get mad, yes, but like why is it like the end of the world for you guys?
I blame TikTok. None of this was an issue growing up, and none of this was a problem in the early days of social media. It's a lot of this new age, like, let's talk about everything. And early book talk was great because it was just people sharing their love for books. You know, and it's gotten to this point where people have gotten so entitled, and it's like, well, I bought this book, so I deserve to share my thoughts on it. And yeah, you do, but you don't have the right to pester and bully authors to the point where they make big decisions and then bully them again for those decisions that they have to make because you bullied them to start with. And it's like, you don't get to do that. If you don't like the series, if you don't like the fact that there's editing mistakes, stop reading the book.
Yeah, put it down. Like, you don't have to keep.
No.
Yeah, I agree with you, but overall, I'm enjoying it. I don't know. It's kind of teetering between 4 and 5 stars for me, but I haven't finished it, so I'm holding out because like the ending with Quicksilver was the thing that made it a 5-star read. The ending of Quicksilver took my breath away. So thrilling and exciting. It threw out several twists. Like we even re-listened to it with you and Alicia one time in the car for portions of it, and I was just like captured by it again. So for me, I'm like, if the ending does that again, like, then it's probably going to end up being a 5 stars. If not, it's probably going to be maybe 4.5. So it's kind of like, that's where I'm at right now. But because again, Saris's POV is kind of boring, but there's been some really, really good action scenes. Like, and also I am here for the Kingfisher Carrion bro ship. Like, oh my gosh, their dynamic is the best. And Carrion, his character is making this story. Like, I'm sure anybody who's reading Carrion, like, and he's not just the silly, funny guy. Like, he's actually given some really good substance and backstory so far. So yeah, I'm enjoying it. I swear, if Kingfisher and Saris have any more spice, I'm gonna riot. But at least that gets me, I can skip those scenes and then make more time, make up more pages, get through more pages, because I'm skipping whole chapters for this. So that's the good part. So yeah, I guess what's on your TBR list? We should probably talk about our TBR list for
a couple things that I okay, hold on. Very quickly, the last thing about Quicksilver's series thing. So in an interview with Kelly Hart, the interviewer asked, apparently she described Quicksilver as her soul, Brimstone as her rebirth, and they're like, what would you say that book 3 is? And she said that it was her apology. So
who's that?
I have no idea.
Is she talking like, I'm catering to the book readers who hate me, so this is going to be an apology book and just everything that you guys want? Or is she talking about, I killed somebody and now I need to apologize to all my readers because of what I did at the ending of Brimstone?
I don't know. I did see where somebody made the comment that at the end of Brimstone they went back and read, I think it was like chapter 7 or something of Quicksilver, and the ending made way more sense. So
I need to read this book. I need to finish this book tonight. Like, because I've seen reels of people, they didn't spoil anything, but it was like our reaction reading the end of Brimstone, and they were both reading it together.
Yeah.
And it just showed their faces. Yeah. And I'm like, what does that mean? What does the look on your face mean? And so I just need to know.
Yeah.
So an apology? I'm going to be mulling over that for the rest of the night, so thank you for that. Because
you're welcome.
That's funny.
All right, so my TBR list is pretty short because I didn't actually just start this. I've been reading it little bits at a time, but I just haven't been making much progress, and so I'm kind of diving in to try to make more progress in this one. In episode 3, so that's kind of like my current plan at the moment.
I was like, one. Yeah.
I have like one other book other than that, that I plan on reading after episode 3. So, but you can talk about your first one, and then I'll mention that one.
My hope is that I can finish these 2 before the end of November, so I can keep on my reading streak. That's my hope. I don't know if that's going to happen. If it doesn't happen, I need to finish these as earliest in December as I can. So that would be the 2 I'm currently reading, Master of Evil and Brimstone. Hope I can get it done November, but if not, it's going to leak into December a little bit. So that's the first thing. So again, with my reading streak, the first one, I don't know which one of these I'm going to read first. But I think I really want to read Water Falling or Rising. I'm going to say that now. Water Rising by H.A. Pruitt, my author friend and editor. So, because she's going to be publishing her book 5 soon. I'm still interested in her book Allura and Zipporah that she's been reading to me. I just haven't had time to listen to it. I'm so upset because I'm like, I want to listen to it, but I just do not have time. And then this one was like a special edition that I was so excited for because I was seeing all of her promotions when it first came out. So I'm excited to have this. And then Water Falling, I'm getting the 2 mixed up, kind of a cliffhanger, not really, but like you want to know what's going to happen next. And then this book's like going to be like she said, it gets really deep, like spiritually, and so I'm excited for that. And I just feel like, I don't know, I was so mad about the spice in Brimstone that I just need something spiritual and good and godly, Christian. And I want to get this done before next year because I don't know when exactly she's publishing. I think she gave a release date, but I can't remember when it was. So I'm sure she can comment if she's listening to this part here. But I'm just really excited. So I think I really want to kind of finish, because also, you know how I think it's Fable that like does the stat of like your favorite author of the year based on how many books you've read by them. Obviously, Sarah J. Maas topped everybody because I've read the entire Throne of Glass series this year, pretty much.
Yeah.
But she's tied with I think Cassandra, no, Serpent and the Wings of Night. Carissa Broadbent, I've read 2 of her books this year, and then Callie Hart, I've read 2 of her books this year. So I thought it'd be cool to have her H.A. Pruitt kind of rise to my second favorite author and have 3 books of hers read in a year. So it just felt like a nice little stat to say. So that's my next one.
Yeah. I'm trying to look and see how many, like, my rank, like, my stats for authors. Just, where is it at? Okay. I read 5 of J.K. Rowling, 4 of Carissa Broadbent, 4 Suzanne Collins, and 3 Sarah J. Maas.
Nice.
Yeah. So, because I finished through the Harry Potter series this year is what it was. And then I read Cursed Child after that. So that makes sense. The only other one that I had planned was The Daughter of No Worlds. It's like it's her original, her first series that she's published, but she redid the covers. So it's book 1 in that series. So I'm excited.
Yeah,
could be good. I haven't read a whole lot about it, so I kind of just want to jump in blind and just kind of see what happens.
Yeah.
So
my next one is also red and gold. I just pointing to the colors. The Crimson Throne. So I saw this at Walmart. I read the blurb and I immediately got hooked. And I think I've mentioned it before, but it's like history dealing with like Scotland and Mary Queen of Scots. I love the TV show Reign, and that's Mary Queen of Scots. So, but it's like fantasy thrown in there, and then there's a guy who's in prison. I'm a sucker for that. But I also have the audiobook because it's another dual audiobook with a male and a female narrator.
Cool.
And so I think this is going to be another in tandem read, because like with these two, how I'm reading them at the same time, and I'm doing this one when I'm not in private, and then this one when I'm alone and in private. I feel like 2 would be perfect together, because I could read this when I'm alone in the evening and can listen to the audiobook, and then when I'm out and about and something to read and like am alone or not alone, I can read this book. So it could be an intense read, and that could help me stick to my goals, because I still would like to do 2 in November, 2 in December, stick with my goals. If not, I have the short stories to fall back on, but
yeah, for sure,
because they were technically published separately. But that's pretty much that. So real quick before before you do your articles and stuff and you start us off, I had a mini book haul. So first thing, my husband had a birthday, and we went to Columbia, and we went to Barnes and Noble, and he bought a book that's currently my sister bought him a book and I bought him a book, and so he's got that one back there, so I can't show it off. But I love the anime Solo Leveling. Like, my sister and I got so addicted. It's a really good anime, and obviously they have the manga, but we saw a novel version of it. Well, it's like a narration novel.
Oh, and cool.
It's in his genre. And so my husband doesn't read any of my books because he's obsessed with your life is like a video game and you get to level up, and like that's basically what this is. So not only am I going to read my husband's genre and kind of see what it's about, but also I love the anime, so getting to get inside the character's head and like read is going to be cool.
That's really cool.
I'm excited. So that's my book haul. And
if you could, okay, random question. If you could have any anime written as like a narrative novel, what other animes would you pick?
Well, my number 1 would probably be Hakoiki, which is the Shinsengumi, but I did that in Immortal based on the real history, so I think probably Fairy Tail.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, for sure. But other than that, Solo Leveling and Devil May Cry, and we're starting to watch these animes with like the longest titles in the universe, and I can never remember the whole thing, but it's like 7-year back in time reincarnation. I'm reincarnated 7 years back in the past. I don't know. It's a long title. and she's basically been reincarnated to the same part. Like when she dies, she comes back to the same
Oh.
part of her life, and she gets to live. But each time she's done different choices that has changed
Oh.
up how her life goes.
Hmm.
And this next one, she literally ends up marrying the guy who always kills her every time, and it's a romance. And I'm like, I am
Yo.
obsessed. Alicia finds these one-off animes, and there's one season,
Yo.
and then you never get anything else of that again.
Yeah.
So that's another one. So that would be fun to write, like, or to read as a book.
Does sound
Like,
fun.
I'm getting hot and fired up here. Okay. But yeah, my next one is called so an author friend of mine, Julie Gilbert, shout out to her. She did this Christmas giveaway thing, and I didn't know for sure if she would actually do it because she asked about everything. What do you like for Christmas? What are you into? What's your thing? And I'm like, this is too much to send for free to people, but why not? So I filled it out, and she sent me a bunch of candy and like this little Star Wars
Aw.
keychain because she knows like Star Wars.
Oh,
And then
that's
she
sweet.
sent me 4 books. And so I had to shout out all of her books because she sent them to me. So this is like a poetry book.
Oh, cool.
So I'm kind of interested to get that one. This would actually be a good one to read and finish up if I can't finish out my reading list. But and then she sent me how to write better book blurb. My speech impediment kicked in. How to write better book blurbs, which I suck at. So this I cannot write. I'll write you a whole new novel before I can write a good blurb for my book. I can't ask any writer. Most of us will say the same thing. So that's gonna help me. And then 2 of her thrillers because she knows
cool.
I like really good thrillers. So I'm kind of interested.
Sweet.
And the fact that they were kind of surprised, I listed which ones of her books I was kind of interested in, so it was kind of like a surprise on which one she sent me. So I had to shout out Julie Gilbert. You're amazing. So yeah, so that's my book haul.
Sweet. Okay, I didn't actually have a whole lot, but there's one video that I saw that this lady was talking about how there's like four types of 5-star reads. There's like 4 different types, and I was gonna read them off and see if there were like if you had like any other like types of 5 stars because a lot of them made sense. She said the first one was the masterpiece. It was just like overall like it's just written in such a way that's just profound, you know. And then there's the vibes. The second type is just the vibes. The vibes it gives off is just a 5-star vibe. The third type was emotional. So it was the one that like made you feel big feelings.
So many, yeah.
Yeah. And then the last one was the hug, and the last one she called the hug, and she said it was just it's a 5-star read just because you love it. It's your book. You just love it. So I'm like, what other categories of 5 stars would you say that there are?
My thing was the last one. That was my first go-to. Was like it's a 5-star because you love it. It could be riddled with mistakes. It could be cheesy and stupid. You just love it.
Yes.
Love it. So that was my instant. She's covered all of them. I would be interested to go through and pick out your 5-star reads, like me and you.
Oh, yeah.
Fill them in for each category. Like which ones go in which category. That may be an end of the year because we have to do
like
the
in December of let's plan that for like the end of the year.
Okay. Yeah, let's do that for the end of the year too. That'd be fun.
Yeah, it would be fun.
I can't think I can everything because there, like you said, there's what makes you feel emotions. There's the one with the vibes. There's one that like legit is just a 5-star perfection.
Yes.
Masterpiece. I can't think of another. Do you have any others? 5-star types that you can think of?
Okay, I honestly.
Oh, I got one.
Okay.
I don't know if this. I can't really relate to this one, but I've heard of people who love an author so much that you just love whatever they put out, no matter what. So I'm wondering if that would be. Yeah. I don't do that. Judge each book.
I would say
like I like authors, but like I judge each book directly. But there are people who do that.
I maybe like, call it the fanfare. the fanfare, yeah. Like it's like they.
Yeah. Like I'll love whatever she puts out just because she puts it out. I don't know why it's a she, but you know, there we are. Like, so I guess that may be another one. But I feel like
I wish I could remember how she described each one. Let me look and see if I can find this because it was on Facebook. It was a short that I saw on Facebook, but it was just really interesting the way she described them. Nope, that's not what I wanted. Okay, here it is. I'm gonna turn my volume down so it doesn't. Okay. She said the masterpiece. This is exemplary 5-star masterpiece. Oh, she just called it a masterpiece. And she said the vibes. This was a bit harder to explain. It's just a feeling when you know you know. That's how she explains the vibe. Right. It was just like it gives off a 5. Yeah, I know what she's saying.
That would be awesome. Like I kind of understand what she.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She said the emotional, 5-star emotional books. So maybe your heart gets into tiny little pieces and then puts back together, and you felt every emotion. It's like the book made you feel multiple different emotions. It was like an emotional roller coaster throughout the book. Which I honestly, there have been times where I have read books that I am just like completely shattered. Or like there have been like in the past there have been like fan fictions that I've read that literally had me like bawling at times because their writing was just that good. And it's like when you've read a book that the writing is like the way the author writes it just makes you like in tears, like it, you know. Or maybe 100%. You were angry, but then, you know, it was just and she said number 4, it's a nice warm hug. You just love it, so it's a 5-star. So those were her 5-star that. Yeah.
I'm excited to go through my that's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. So my first one, I just wanted to shout out one of my an author friend who is also she hosts a radio podcast type thing that she's interviewed me on hers before. I think she's part of this anthology that is called Parabolic Orbits. It's a speculative fiction anthology inspired by the parables of Jesus, but it's sci-fi. So they're all sci-fi parables of Jesus, like sci-fi versions of the parables of Jesus, and each author in the anthology does a different short story for it. And I thought it was such a creative take on that I'm like, I have to shout this out because it just seems really cool. So I had to add that to my list. So I had to shout that out.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so, and then real quick, I had a Kelly Hart. I saved it because we didn't end up doing a podcast in time, but this was 2 days before Brimstone released, and it had a picture of her with hundreds of Brimstone copies in front of her, and she's like, counting down the hours. I'm already in New York, just signed over 2,000 books for you guys, starting to feel very real. 32 hours left to go. I was like, I signed 16 and I was just done with the world. I can't imagine signing 2,000 books. Like, that is insane. So,
okay.
So yeah, that was.
So, the only other thing I forgot that I was going to mention. So there was a page called, Westrosis 1. It was like a page on Instagram that just came across my feed. And they made a post that George R.R. Martin confirmed Game of Thrones sequel shows are in development. And the quote from that was from the Los Siete Reinos. I don't know. He said Martin addressed the subject of the Game of Thrones spinoffs during a recent appearance at Iceland Nor held in Reykjavik from November 12th to the 15th. The Spanish fan site Los Siete Reinos attended the event and recorded his remarks. And it said, aside from the Night of the Seven Kingdoms and the House of Dragon, there are other Game of Thrones spin-off projects in development. Most are prequels. There are several in development, 5 or 6 series, and I'm not developing them alone. I'm working with other people. Yes, there are some sequels. I don't know if that's new news to us or if you already knew that. Because I knew about the prequels. But
about Night of the Seven Kingdoms, but I forgot. And so, because we want the story, we want some backstory with like Ned Stark and Baratheon, Robert Baratheon, and the twist with Jon Snow and his parentage, and how Ned Stark ended up getting him and raising him, and like Ned Stark's sister's death, and like all the things with that. So there's definitely a lot of like, I don't know what the prequels would be, but you have kings and queens and things. So I mean, it like the world provides a ton of content. It's like Star Wars. Like, the
Yeah.
universe is so big, you can just do so much.
Yeah.
I'm not exactly hyped or not. Like, the only one I'm actually would be hyped for is a sequel with Jon Snow, where you actually give him a good ending and you don't screw him over like you did in the last season. Like,
Yeah.
that would be the only one I would care about.
Yeah.
Like, justice for Jon, hashtag justice for Jon Snow. Like, if anybody else in the comments feels that, please.
Okay, and then and then if you have the next one, I'll let you go, because then I have one more that I forgot about.
Okay. This was off the wall, just completely random as I was scrolling through Facebook, which does have a book, so it does lead back to it. But Outlander is going to be in concert.
Oh,
like an actual
like the musical concert? Oh, I love those. I've never been to one, but I really want to. They look so cool.
But it's going to be in concert, echoes through the Highlands. The officially licensed concert experience celebrating the global phenomenon brings 8 seasons of love, legacy, and destiny to life as live orchestra performs Barra McCready's score, curated by Michael B. Roberts. So it's like the Outlander score, which is the most gorgeous soundtrack you've ever heard in your life. I listen to that when I'm riding and working. It's peaceful. So I guess it's 8 seasons because the final next year. So like we're all. The problem is,
hey, re-say your statement, because I think you got to talking fast and it glitched out.
So I have to slow down.
You turned robotic, and I'm like, wait a minute.
So it's like, that's funny. It's the final season's coming next year, so it's kind of like, it feels like there's a lot of celebrations about the final season coming out. So it's like his music is so, I can listen to his soundtrack over and over again. It's so beautiful. It's one of the most beautiful soundtracks ever made, other than anything by Hans Zimmer. But the problem is, it's in Scotland.
Oh,
I have no chance of ever Edinburgh. Like, good luck. I'm not able to go, but it sounds like a fun time. So yeah, so
okay,
that was just random, but it's a book too, so
it's all right. It works. I love those kind of concerts though, where they have like the movie scene playing in the background, but then you have the full orchestra playing the music live. Oh my gosh, I've never been to one, but they look so much fun. I've seen clips for Star Wars ones before. I've seen clips of How to Train Your Dragon, and just several different ones, and I'm like, that would be so much fun to go to. Like, I would just love to go to an orchestra concert. Like, I love listening to, like, live orchestras anyway, and that kind of music in live, and it would just be, like, it would be so much fun to do.
Oh my gosh, it would be. My inner orchestra theater kid is like, yes, let's go.
Okay, so there was a page that Facebook sent me showed me a post. It was, like, wasn't even a page I was following, which Facebook does that sometimes. But it was a page called Big Little Reads. And so I tried,
I wonder if we're looking at the same thing, as I had a post by them as well.
Is it about ACOTAR?
No.
Okay.
No.
So,
all right, we actually got different ones. Cool.
So it was about Sarah J. Maas, and I tried to find other sources to back this up, and I couldn't really find a whole lot other than some Reddit. I didn't dive that deep into it. There were some Reddit posts talking about some things. The Google AI search summary says that there has been no official announcement about her next series called Twilight of the Gods. But this particular post says that Sarah J. Maas has confirmed that her next book in the sixth book of the Court of Thorns and Roses series, but what comes after that? And it says the author revealed in an interview that she will start writing a book she's very excited about after ACOTAR 6, but she has refused to say what world it is set in. So this could be the start of her new series. Maybe the much anticipated Twilight of the Gods series, which she said to have been a work in progress for the last decade or so. So they're bringing up, apparently she has a series that's like a Ragnarok retelling called Twilight of the Gods, and apparently it's been a work in progress for like over a decade now, and so they're wondering if she isn't going to be pulling that in. And they said Crescent City Book 4 won't come after ACOTAR 6, as the author has confirmed it won't be released in the near future. And honestly, I'm kind of glad, because I did not like the main character in Book 3 of Crescent City. So I
Right.
need some time away.
I
I
need to
think
read those
she
next.
needs some time away. I know a lot of people, this may be an unpopular opinion. I know a lot of people are very frustrated with her at how long she's taking her to write the next book. But I am so fed
Mm-hmm.
up with every female character turning out to have the same personality, the same overpowered ability. It literally, they all
It's
end
like
up
copy
like
paste.
that. The only one that doesn't end up like that is Feyre, and that's because she got pregnant and had a child. She was like that a little bit, but she didn't get overinflated like the other two did.
Yeah.
And it's like I feel like
I
Sarah, I
totally
feel
agree.
like they all feel so similar, and she's all writing them around the same time, and I'm like, let's give her time to actually write so we can get something unique.
Yeah. It feels like going back to earlier how we talked about reader demands, and it's like it's easier with things like
Yeah.
that where you just do the same thing that works before because
Yeah.
readers love it and you keep redoing that
Mhm.
in different ways. And it kind of feels like Sarah J. Maas has kind of fallen into that trap, at least with her fantasy books.
Yeah.
Um, so I feel like, yeah,
Kind of
so
like
I totally agree.
how
I haven't read need to read
what's
here, but
that smutty romance writer that got into some hot water with Ryan Reynolds and what was her name?
yeah, Verity is the book name, but who's the I can't.
Um,
Uh, Hoover. It
Colleen
starts with a
Hoover.
C, and I can't
Yeah, there.
remember what
Okay,
the book.
the only book I've ever read of hers is Verity, and at first I was like kind of like in that Hollywood, like that not Hollywood, but like the honeymoon phase after I finished reading it, and the more I thought about it, and the more I'm like, and I ended up giving it like a 3 star because I was just like, I'm just I don't know. It felt like a
Yeah,
drug that like you couldn't stop reading it, and then once it was done and you go back and think about it, it really wasn't that great. I know this sounds horrible, but
I
I
get
did
that.
watch.
I don't get a 5 star reading my vibes.
There was a like um a YouTuber that I followed for a long time that she read multiple Colleen Hoover books. She's like, so you don't have to, and so comparing them, and the one main thing that I remember getting out of that video that I remember was that they all had the same basic backbone. Like the same basic concept, it's just the characters and the setting was different.
It's a lot
And
of like not. I'm not dissing romance, but
no.
romance is the one that does it the most, where it's the same thing, copy
Mm-hmm.
and paste, but maybe you change the setting or you
Slightly
change
different trope.
the
Yeah.
details, the names.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, and the thing is, it's a formula that
Yeah.
works. People buy it, people love it, people read it. It makes you money.
Yeah.
So I get why, but at the same time, as a reader, I want something that's more diverse, like
Yeah.
in terms of, like you said, where it's not the same thing. But
Mm-hmm.
it's
Yeah.
unfortunately she's the one of the ones that does it
Yeah.
the most and is bigger about it
And
because her books fire
I
like
really,
big.
I really don't want Sarah J. Maas to get into that. And it feels
Me
like that's
too.
something that she's slowly leaning more towards. At least when I finished her most recent book, which was Crescent City Book 3, I don't know. The attitude seemed very familiar, and I'm like, we're doing this again, and I'm just like, I don't know.
I can see that.
So
I
even
need to read
though
that. It's
even though
terrible.
there was a
I love
lot of stuff that happened in that book that makes me excited for the next Akatar book and where the whole universe is headed, and it's like it makes me really excited for that, but I'm like, I don't like Bryce as much as I used to, and I don't like her the way I liked her in books 1 and 2. Like, I just don't like her as
mhm.
well anymore. And I'm
Makes it
just like,
more
I've lost love for this character. And I'm like, I hate that so much. I don't love this character as much as I did. And,
well, and it's hard because when a person hates the main character, not or hates, but like doesn't like the main character, it makes
mm-hmm.
it difficult to,
Yeah.
you know, like get through and enjoy everything else,
Yeah.
like
And
everything else that
it
you're
was
excited
almost
for.
like,
So I
it was almost like she needs to be, like, the character needs to be humbled, if you're getting the vibes that I'm giving. Like,
yeah,
the
100.
character needs
I
to be
totally get it.
humbled in the next book. And I think that she wrote the Crescent City series very quickly, considering how big the books were. And for how
Yeah,
big Crescent City
it's like,
is, not a whole lot. Crescent City Book 3, for as big as it is, I mean, not a whole
yeah.
lot happened.
I'll be interested to read that one and
Yeah.
get my opinion and hopefully see if I
Yeah,
DNF it,
I would.
because
I
want to
would
get
wait. I
from
would
you.
wait a while. If you do choose to DNF it, I can tell you the connections, and I can help you understand the basic
Yeah.
connections, or I can tell you what chapters to
I'm gonna
read
give
to get the
myself a break.
connections. Like I can
Yeah.
if you lose interest in it, I can. We can watch the cliff notes. We can get the cliff notes
Yeah.
of how they're connected. We can dive into Reddit and we can update you if that happens.
That's
Like,
fine. I hope it doesn't, but I'm gonna give myself a long break first
oh yeah,
because I figured that
yeah.
if I go into it now, I'm definitely gonna DNF it. So
Honestly,
I need a break.
I don't think we'll get Sarah J. We'll get because she said that it's not in the near future. Plans for book 4 is not in the near future, hardly at all. And honestly, I don't see us getting ACOTAR 6 very soon either, just because of the lack of updates on it. I don't see it happening. So honestly, I could see us going the whole next year without Sarah J. Maas, which I don't hate. I mean, completely honest,
Yeah,
I don't hate the
break.
idea. As
Yeah.
much as I love her, and I'm just like, I don't mind.
Yeah. So before we
Wrap up.
end this and
Yeah.
wrap this up, a couple of mine.
Okay.
I don't know who this is, but the author Abigail Owen has revealed the official cover of her upcoming novel, The Wrath Gods Reap, which is the third book in her best-selling The Crucible series. And it released on November 17th, it's releasing November 17th, 2026. I've seen the first book. I don't remember the title, but I've seen the first book around. So that was just something I wanted to mention because I have seen the first book around and
what
stuff.
What was it called?
The Wraths That Gods Reap, I think, is book 3 in the Crucible series, I believe. I already exited out of it, so that's the only my memory. And then the last thing that I wanted to bring up before we wrap is a Threads post that I saw. And it was this author person, and she shared a post from someone else. And I'll read that post first, and then I'll read her comments on the matter.
Mm-hmm.
But the original post that she shared was somebody else saying, the original post that she shared was somebody else saying, these novels are not models of Christian love. Even with superficial Christian elements, they implicitly teach that control, danger, and manipulation can be romantic and acceptable, which contradicts Christian values of pure, respectful, and edifying love. And then her comments on that was, she said, I write mafia romance for Christian women, and the amount of Christians who think this way is embarrassing. My books are not models of Christian love. They're models of how God's love can change a dangerous man. It's called redemption. You want to show God's love, but not the journey to it. You want me to write about Paul and pretend he never lived as Saul. That's not going to happen. I am not your everyday clean Christian author. Never have been, never will be, and I'm not apologizing for it. And I'm like, go queen, because that is me.
Honestly, the biggest thing that irritates me is when people want the perfect example of Jesus's love and these human characters in books. The whole point of the gospel is the fact that we can try to be like Jesus, but we never, ever, ever will be. That's the whole point. And so the fact that these people are complaining about how this is not a good example of godly love, obviously, Karen, thank you for stating that comment. Obviously, it's not. Because, like, that's the whole point. Yeah. Okay, I love that.
Yeah, it's like, for me, and that's what attracts me to the kind of Christian stuff that I write and what I want to read more of. Just there's a huge gap in the market for it, because I like writing the shadow daddy trope, but where he gets redeemed because of God's work in his life, or the woman that God puts in his life. Give me a good romance, like every valiant guy character I've ever written ever. Like, how many guys has Jace killed in his 2,000 years of living? Like, he did not follow God for a long time. The samurai era was he's not a godly guy. Like the character Khan, he has claws and fangs, and he growls at everybody when I'm trying to make him look nice.
Well, you could even argue that Jace is almost like a prodigal son type character, because he meets and interacts with Jesus, and then he goes off and does all these other things, and it's like, and he finally slowly finds his way back, and it's like, it's like
that actually true. I really thought
all of these different Bible characters. Paul was a murderer that killed the people that he eventually joined with.
Went on.
Moses was also a murderer, but he was also, I imagine he was probably a stuck-up kind of prince, I would imagine. Joseph was a spoiled brat that you know, and it's like all of these people in the Bible. David was an adulterer that fell in love with a woman because he saw her bathing, and then killed her husband, sent her husband off to the front lines and killed her. Spoiler alert, by the way. But the Bible's like thousands of years old, so I don't really feel sorry for people. Anyway, but anyway, spoiler alert. Anyway, Jesus dies, but he comes back 3 days later. Biggest spoiler alert there. Elephant out of the room.
I viewing The Chosen, I was like, do I really need to give spoiler alerts here? Talking about The Chosen season 5. I was like, I don't know where this is going.
But it's like the Bible is full of characters that are imperfect and striving towards perfection, but they're never going to get there, and messing up and realizing that God is the very definition of love. But we can strive for that, but we're never going to get there. And so it's like wanting a fictional story. Honestly, the comments that she was making about this story was the unbiblical part of all of this. That was the part that was just like, that's why people see Christians as hypocrites, is because of that comment right there.
Yeah. And that's also why it's a problem with a lot of Christian fiction that gives all Christian fiction a bad name.
Yeah.
And why I don't technically label my books that way, even though God's in them, or the themes are there, but God's not mentioned. But because it's like, it's not this happy, hunky-dory, perfect, like where everybody's perfect, like you said, like Jesus, because that misses the whole point of the gospel. Just
Definitely.
And so... But where was I going with that? I had more thoughts, but memory of a goldfish over here.
That's all right.
It's okay. Yeah. So it's just like, it's not. I don't know.
Our brains are like our brains are sparking at this point in the evening. So it's like we keep saying we keep repeating like yep, and I'm like our brains are just sparking at the moment. We've run out of words, and our brain is just like yep. It's like a broken record. It just keeps repeating yep. And I'm like, okay, so.
It's like when you apologize and they're like, you don't have to apologize. I'm sorry. Oh wait, it's like you don't have to apologize.
It's like we apologize, and so much is like, oh, I'm sorry, and I'm like, wait, I'm sorry. You just get in this endless loop of apologizing for apologizing. All right, so we're sorry we didn't live stream or post hardly at all in November.
We will be better in December,
we'll try. But like we said, we're not perfect. So there's a good chance that we may skip out on we may end up doing another one in a couple of days, to be completely honest with you, to get next week's out of the way.
Like, all right, it's been
There's
2
a good
days.
chance.
What's happening?
Hey.
What's new, guys?
The last 2 days.
Yeah.
Hey, I might get to a point that you're wanting to talk about too. So it's like in episode 3. So you'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yes. Yeah.
So if there's any like new series, because I'm also getting to the point where I'm like, I don't have a lot of like completed or finished series to read, and I'm just like, I have a handful of books that are still like my TBR that I'm just not vibing with. And so it's like, if you guys have any like book recs that are just like are really your cup of tea, and you're curious if they'll be our cup of tea, or it's just you feel like deserves more attention than what it's getting, let us know and we'll take a look at it. Or if you have any drama or any, I was talking to you today about another like authors scamming readers out of their money, or readers scamming authors and bullying authors. If you have any of that stuff, let us know about that too. So or just random thoughts. You can put random thoughts into the comments, and we'll respond.
You will respond. It's either me or her. Nobody runs this channel, so you'll get one of us.
Okay, so usually if it's in the morning when it replies, it's me. Usually if it's in the afternoon replying, it's Joanna. Just so you know. Yeah. So you can pick up on that.
If it's at AM, it's 100% me. She's not up at like 4 a.m. in the morning like I am. So, I mean, maybe in the summertime.
Like if it's like, if it's like brunch time, like 11, 12, 1 o'clock, more than likely it's me. But if it's like 4 through 4,
Yeah,
4 through
those
like
are my hours.
4 p.m. through like 10 p.m. It could be either one of us, and then after 10 o'clock, it's more than likely Joanna. So you'll get one of us, you know. So yeah.
Say and then do a dash and then be like Joanna.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I've done that once or twice. And then there's other times where like usually if it's a video if it's a short that I've posted, I'll comment on it, and if it's one that you posted, I'll let you comment on. And so usually that's how it is. But if it's like a live stream, you never know who you're gonna get.
You never know. I love that. That's hilarious.
It depends on who sees it first. All right.
Well, let us know how your reads have gone and what you're reading for December, and we're gonna have some fun videos hopefully coming out in December toward the end of the year. Like I'm excited for some of those.
Me too.
So
it'll be fun.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. So
all right. We'll talk to you guys later.
Yep. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.